We want to start off with a reminder that we are not doctors. Before you make any changes or try something new, always consult with your doctor and medical team first. Chronic illness can vary from patient to patient, so it's always best to consult with your own doctor for what is best for you. Hello and welcome to IBD Determined. I'm your host, Michelle Harvey.
And I'm Mason Harvey. I'm also the host.
And as most of you are familiar with, I speak from the role of a caregiver and Mason's mom.
And I have Crohn's disease.
If you watched last week, we went against our scheduled programming to discuss Mason's current health situation, which he was in a flare. And we were maybe thinking of, skipping a little bit, not doing some episodes to see if he needed some time off. And he didn't mind being here today and talking about it. So
why not?
Yeah. So let's update everybody. So Mason, the question is, are you still in a flare?
Yes, I'm still in a flare.
Yeah.
Flare has escalated a little bit, I would say, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's being treated, so it's going to be going back down.
I think when we last spoke, he was still kind of just showing the early symptoms of it. And we ended up getting the results from that test we were talking about, and that was for his calprotectin. So if you Google that, you can find more information on what that test is, but it's basically look for inflammation markers. And what they found was that the test, anything under 50 typically is considered normal. And then there's a limit where it goes over that, it's abnormal. Mason's score was off the charts in the wrong direction, unfortunately.
Not good.
No. And I was so disappointed. I knew it was going to be higher. I knew he was in flare. I just didn't realize it would be that high. So he tested so high, they just showed it was greater than 3,000. And so we didn't get an actual number because it just exceeded the limit. Yeah. So we got to meet with his doctor the same day we got those results. And she did reassure us that it's important with Crohn's disease, given the locations of Mason's active disease, because he also has it in his colon. That is why he could show a higher score on the calprotectin. Yeah. So anyways, it does have to do with location too. So always ask your doctor if your scores come in really high, or if you're consistently getting high scores, it could have something to do with the location of your disease. It may not just be in the upper GI tract. It may not be in the lower. It could also be in your colon, which is causing those numbers to
be high.
So something we learned and thought we would share with you guys. So Mason, how are you feeling right now?
So I'm not feeling pain. I'm not feeling joint pain or anything,
which is good.
No abdominal pain, nothing bad. The only thing is I'm going to the bathroom more and I dropped a little weight. But other than that,
your appetite?
Yes, my appetite has gone down.
Yeah, he's really not hungry at all. So he does eat. And that's one thing, we cannot allow him to skip any meals. So we find different ways to make sure we maintain his weight during a flare. He drinks supplemental drinks, which he's actually got one right here right now because he has to.
Supplemental drink, Starbucks.
It's a Starbucks drink, but he loves those cups, and we use those to mix it. So we mix his supplemental drinks in those, and right now he's drinking one in the morning, one at lunch, one right now we're in the afternoon. And he'll drink one after dinner, and if he doesn't really eat dinner, he'll drink one at dinner as well. I think right now we're at 5. Yeah.
It's too much.
But the calories on them, we're making sure that he's hitting with everything he's eating. We're trying to get him over 2,000. It's just important for us to maintain that weight because it drops really fast. We found out at his appointment last week, he had dropped 5 or 6 pounds in a few, just less than a couple weeks. And it was
just crazy.
Yeah. And you don't really know by looking at him. That's why we weigh him. And so we're aware if the
That's why
weight
it's
is trending
important to
down.
keep weighing yourself if you're in a flare.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're not in a flare, because you might catch yourself dropping weight and you might be like,
Exactly.
oh, I might be going into a flare, and you can catch it early.
And like that way, you know what your normal is. And so
Yeah.
if that's fluctuating, yeah. So we're always trying to maintain a log to show what his normal weight is. So when this happens, we're like, okay, he did deviate in the wrong direction. It is actually really important that he's not having pain because typically in a flare, he does have pain. And a lot of you out there listening, that's probably, I would say, one of the biggest symptoms for a lot of you besides the restroom activity. And
sometimes, usually in flares, like my ankles will hurt and I have abdominal pain and I don't really want to move, because things hurt.
Yeah.
But in this one, I feel fine. Like I could run around. I have to be careful because of the restroom and have to drink my drinks. So
what we also found out, because the doctor wanted to run more tests because it just wasn't really making sense to her. He's on 2 biologics. He is growing, and this is the 3rd time he's flared in less than 1 year. So it's like, so what's going on? And
why are the biologics not helping?
Right. She had a couple of different ideas, and she spoke with another doctor and consulted with him. And one of his thoughts was there might be a genetic mutation that Mason may carry that makes him more resistant to treatments. And that could be why he is so difficult to treat. And so we are going to actually get those genetic tests done. Mason gets labs done, full blood labs. I mean, the whole,
the whole file.
Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, so he gets full labs done every 4 weeks.
4 weeks. Yeah, my bad. I was thinking of the other one.
Yeah, that's all right. You get a lot of stuff. It's fine. It all blends together.
It's funny when you actually can't figure out the time in between each blood draw because you have it so often.
So it's every 4 weeks. They look at everything. So he's monitored very closely. Yeah. What they'll do is they're going to do an extra blood draw when they do this next set. And we're going to get him tested and see if it's something genetic and maybe there's something else that we can be looking at. So I like the idea of having a full picture, and whether it comes back with showing nothing, that helps us. We learn no matter what the results are.
You know what you're dealing with.
Yeah. So that was interesting. We have to get permission, of course, from insurance. So
yeah,
most of you out there are like, yeah, we know what that is. We know what that's like.
It's
so
another fight.
Yeah, hopefully insurance will let us do this. And I think it would be very helpful for us to know, especially since it appears the biologics are working, but we have these strange pop-ups here. And so what she wanted to do is also do testing for a full line of parasites, bacteria, things like C. diff. We had to go back to the hospital. So he went 2 times, in a row. We went back down to the hospital.
Wednesday.
It was supposed to be his first day of school.
Yeah.
And we got to go down to the hospital again. So we were there and they tested him for what we found out was about 26 different things that could be going on. And she had told me, the doctor told me and Mason too, don't panic if you see something on there that's positive or abnormal, because we are doing an extensive test here.
You want to test negative.
Yeah, we were hoping, okay, we'll test negative for all of these. And as it turns out, we got a positive.
Yep.
So in some ways, at first I was like, darn it, not again. Why? What happened? But then I was talking to a couple of my friends and their kids also have Crohn's disease. Instead of getting frustrated at this, they kind of pointed out well, maybe this means that his biologics are working. It was potentially what he tested positive for that sent him into a flare.
Because maybe the biologics are doing what they can, but the thing that was positive sent me into a flare. Right. So it's not even the biologics deal.
Right. Which would be a huge relief on that end.
It'd be great because we don't want biologics to fail.
Right.
No one wants biologics.
So there's that. There's okay, that is the silver lining on this. That would be really cool if that is the case. But the other part is the unknown of okay, so he's got an infectious disease that is caused by bacteria. And
wonderful.
He's got an infection now. And so our doctor consulted with their infectious diseases doctor at Rady Children's. And the treatment they came up with is they wanted to hit it quick because this kind of thing isn't great in IBD patients. And a lot of you out there have had these. It's unfortunately part of the journey with this
Crohn's
disease.
disease. The wonderful journey of Crohn's disease.
Yeah.
It's like a board game.
I know that would be a really
oh my God.
bad board. That would not be fun.
Is that a board game called Crohn's disease?
I know. Oh my gosh, we'll have to think on that. I don't know. That'd be funny.
Would you buy it? Would you
yeah,
buy
let us
our
know.
board
Would
game?
you play that game? Oh my gosh. So, anyways,
Let's start a brand new line of business.
Yeah. So, what we're trying to figure out now is okay, he's got this other issue going on. So, is that what caused the flare? And I think that's a pretty big indicator that it did, because this typically does cause someone to flare. So the way to treat it is antibiotics. So he gets to do
Which I did not like.
No.
Took it better than Mucinex.
So Mason does not like to swallow pills. And he did. He used to be like an expert in it, because at the hospital he had to take so much stuff. When he came home, we had so many pill bottles. And I was like, oh, thank you that my son learned to swallow pills and he can do this. And then a couple years ago, he was taking one of them, and
vitamin D,
and he choked, like literally choked, where he couldn't speak and his face was turning red and he was panicking. And so we got the pill dislodged, and
it was scary.
Yeah, it was a whole thing, and it was scary for me too. I don't know what happened.
We don't know what happened. We're not pill experts.
No, he's had endoscopies and all that since then. Everything's fine in there, and he eats just fine. It's probably a freak thing, but since then he has had kind of a fear. Yeah, so he will choke trying to take anything. When they said antibiotics, I knew those were going to be really large. It was not that exciting for him to have this option, but there is no other option. He has to take these. So we ended up getting liquid for him, which I'm fine. This is going to taste great.
Swallow a pill, but it has taste.
Yeah. And so there's other options for you listening out there. I mean, I'm sure some of you can relate to this. We could have crushed these. We have crushed pills in the past. We have a pill crusher, and we used to have a pill cutter. We used to cut pills up really small so we could take them.
Whole business.
Yeah. It sounds like we do. Sounds like another great business.
Whole business for me.
Pills. So we would crush them and mix them into things.
Especially iron.
Yeah, the iron you did not like. If for anyone listening, those are our tips. If your child does not like taking pills, there are pill cutters you can get to make them smaller, and there's pill crushers. But some pills cannot be crushed because they are time release, and so you do have to check with your doctor.
Really bad. So.
Yeah. And like these ones would have tasted really bad, these antibiotics, because they were pretty large pills, and the pharmacist did say they would not be tasty.
Don't eat them.
So like, you can mix them in applesauce. And I'm like, guess what? Mason doesn't like applesauce. And they're like, oh, how about yogurt?
Nope.
No. And especially right now, his appetite, so nothing sounds good. And he is usually a trooper. Like, he does do what he needs to do. So we will eventually get there. But the goal here was not to go to those lengths. So it's like, all right, just give us the liquid. And if he can do that, awesome. Yeah. And instead of
for 5 days.
Yeah. Instead of having to get an NG tube where they just give it to you and you don't have options, or, through infusion, which you actually were volunteering for. So
infusion, another one. Wonderful.
I don't think that's really an option with this. You need to come home. You can't stay in the hospital that long. So he's on antibiotics. So he has another medication. Which you don't have to talk about if you don't, it's fine. We're not going to go into detail.
Yeah, we don't have to talk about that.
Yeah. So he has a different treatment as well that he's taking that's going towards the flare. So we're treating the bacterial infection, and we're also treating the flare at the same time. We're just hoping he'll get his appetite suddenly will hit. We're hoping that he'll start being able to
pick back up.
Yeah, you'll be able to sleep at night comfortably and just go to sleep, wake up, do normal things like go to school, not worry about flare stuff. So we can be thankful though he doesn't have pain, because typically he has pain with these.
And I feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool that he does not have pain, and as well as the joint pain. And so every day we ask him, Mason, how's your pain? Do you have stomach pain? Mason, do you have joint pain?
Yeah.
And looking at him, I would say flares can definitely turn. So you just keep an eye on them because they can go from this to something much more extreme much more quickly. And also if you're watching and listening, it's important to also not base your opinions just on what Mason's going through.
Everyone with Crohn's is different.
And
treat it.
usually Mason's it is a little worse than this. So I'm not sure, but we're grateful in this case
for not hurting my joints.
Yeah. So we just have to stay a little close to home, and we just have to make sure that he's taking his medications, make sure he's eating.
Yeah.
That's the other key.
Calories.
So we're keeping our journals and yeah, we're keeping everything, monitoring it, and we're also staying very close touch with the doctors, which is also very important. And you guys also know you should all have this on hand too. If you don't have it, make sure you have your on-call GI's number for after hours, because it is. And we had to call them yesterday because we had a question about one of the medications for Mason that he's taking for the flare. And we needed to speak with somebody, and I was able to talk to an after hours GI, and thanks to my chart, I can see what they're seeing, and I could talk to them and we could go over everything. They could see the doctor's notes, and we were able to get it remedied within like 5 minutes. And it was very simple. So don't ever be afraid to use that. They don't get frustrated. They would rather you call and ask questions and do the right thing.
Because they don't want to have their patients messed up.
No, they don't. They don't want to mess with someone else's patient either. So you have these guys they're good. So I thought it'd be fun. Like I looked up online to see like, okay, let's see, what does it say? What is a flare? On Everyday Health, it says Crohn's disease is marked by periods of remission and disease activity. So when you do have disease activity, you're symptomatic, and that is also inflammation going on. And so that is a flare. That's why it's a little confusing when you say remission with this disease. When they go into remission and you've taken a biologic, they think that
they're done.
They're done.
They're good.
And like we had mentioned before, that's what Mason originally thought too. We're like, so when he feels better, when he's better, he can stop doing this, right? Yeah. Like,
no, you have to take biologics forever.
Yeah. And that's
until there's a cure.
Right. Or different treatments. But that's the consensus right now, that if you are being maintained by this drug and you're in remission, I mean, that's what's keeping you in remission. You're not curing the disease. The disease has not gone away at all.
It's just being kept at bay.
Exactly. So that's basically the definition of a flare. Yeah. And someone else had asked because I noticed this popped up when I had Googled this. Someone had asked, what does a Crohn's flare feel like? It's described online as feeling unwell. So do you feel unwell with this flare?
As far as joint pain goes, no. But as like going to the bathroom, yes, it is annoying because I have to go often. But I don't feel unwell. Like I don't feel sick.
Tired? Do you feel more tired? No,
not tired.
So your energy,
yeah.
And a lot of you out there are probably jealous right now who have flares, because you're like, oh my gosh,
I'm sorry.
Even just without a flare, I feel exhausted. Yeah. I think that someone that does not have chronic illness doesn't probably understand how much these kind of people have to tolerate on a daily basis, and so it becomes more normal for them, and things are more tolerable. So I think Mason might be thinking, oh yeah, I have tons of energy and I feel great, but maybe to someone who is just
not have Crohn's,
does not have Crohn's, it would still look different. But I just think overall that because of what you've gone through, you build up a higher tolerance. And so it's like, oh, are you having pain? And it's like, no. Oh. And it might be that they're having more pain than the average person, but they don't feel that is anything abnormal. I guess that's important to say, like looking for abnormalities with you and with your Crohn's. So just because you might have something that is different, it doesn't mean that it's not a flare symptom, or it is, but it's just important to know your normal and how you feel.
Your normal versus someone else's normal.
Yeah, because I think as a caregiver, that helps. When I asked Mason, he's telling me based on his normal, how he's feeling, because obviously I cannot feel the pain. I don't know what he's going through. So I have to rely on that. Like we said, watch the signs that we can see. So anyways, we'll go back to what does a Crohn's flare feel like? So they say feeling unwell. It also says going to the bathroom more than 5 times per day or waking up at night. And I would say,
that.
Yeah, for this time, yes, this is true. And I think this has been true for you every time. So that's, we're going to say restroom issues that, sorry, TMI, that have blood. And that's important to look for. There's different things to look for when you're looking for blood. You can look that up. I don't want to go into too much detail again. Some of you might be kind of squeamish on this stuff. Some of you might be like, tell me more.
We don't want to make you close this video.
No, so I'll just include some links like I normally do if you are curious. And if you have this disease, you might be asking, well, there's differences. What does this mean? And that I'll try to find some links to include for you guys if you want to look more into that. And so the other one is stomach pain that Mason does not have right now. This response came from Medical News Today, by the way. That's where the
Crohn's
answer
and Colitis Foundation.
So also they mention fever, and Mason has in the past ran fevers. This time though, he hasn't had any fevers, so that's good too. But they also say that you might experience symptoms affecting the skin. Some of you might have rashes, so it's important to look for too. Any new rashes. And I think that's quite common. You guys get a lot of skin issues with
it's good to pay attention to that.
It is. Especially, and or like different bumps on the skin, different painful, different things like that. And it's all manifestations of
Crohn's,
this disease. And so it's good to consult with a doctor just to make sure.
It's good to pay attention to the skin.
And then Mason had said the eyes. And so that's also something important. You can get uveitis. The eyes can become very red, itchy, get painful. Some people can lose vision. So that's
you important. Do not want.
No, you don't. We'd like to try to prevent that. Yeah. So we do see an ophthalmologist for him just to maintain, even when he's having no symptoms, we still have him regularly checked just to make sure.
Because if you can catch it before any problem happens, there's a chance you can fix it, and that's a good thing.
It does mention the joints, which is one of Mason's big symptoms typically. And it also
hasn't happened.
It mentions your mood change, which I mean, I feel like, you're not feeling good.
Yeah, you're not feeling good. You're not gonna be. Oh my God, I'm so happy.
Because that's completely normal. He gets frustrated.
Frustrated because I'm going more. I'm having issues. I'm not hungry. I like eating. I just don't feel hungry.
And I think it's probably helpful to parents out there, though, because to us as a parent or a caregiver, to even adults, it's like, why are you being picky? Yesterday, you really wanted this, and I made this for you again because you said you wanted it, and now you're staring at it like it's an alien from another planet. And it's like, what the heck? And so it can be very frustrating because I cook so much stuff, and I'm always trying to figure out, it's like, what do you want? I will make it. So right now, though, he's at a point where he eats, and it's just not that he's excited about it. And he takes quite a while. Yeah, he does. But he does it. Yeah. And so that's what's important. Yeah. So for you parents out there who think you're alone and think that, wow, my child is the pickiest child on the planet. No, definitely not alone on that. I think picky is a general term we use to describe something, but I think when your child has a disease,
picky isn't like this. It doesn't have the same meaning.
It does not. That's exactly it. It doesn't have the same meaning. It's a different sort of pickiness, and it's important to identify that. I think this is normal with a flare. These things can be normal, and to not get too frustrated. Instead, look for a dietitian. We met with a dietitian also this week too.
Yeah.
She gave us a lot of great ideas on how, what Mason needs to be eating, ways to sneak some fat in there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And yes, that's about it. We don't really have anything and we plan to talk about today. It was just another let's update catch up, video, update you guys to say that, he is in a flare. Yes, he does have this other issue going on, and we are working on both of them in addition to starting school. It's been a busy week.
All these things is piling on.
Yeah, every week feels busy. And also, I want to mention there's been a couple of you who've reached out to me through Instagram and through Facebook too. And we've just gotten a few different people. And I just want to thank you guys and encourage you to keep doing that, because it helps to say, okay, we're doing the right thing. We're talking about the right things. We can only do so much in every episode. We have a lot to cover. So please don't think if we haven't addressed something yet, we're not going to get there. Just right now, we're just kind of talking about Mason's flare because we're just kind of hanging out and trying to keep things mellow and different things that could make the flare worse, like stress. And he's got enough of that with school. So we don't need to. Stressful. Yeah, I'm like, we don't need to put more on his plate. So that's about it for today. So hopefully we will get kind of back on topic here and start getting to some guests, because we're really looking forward to bringing some other people on here to discuss different challenges and how people have overcome them. That way, maybe if you're listening, it may help you. We're hoping to provide different stories that may inspire you or just help in whatever way they do. We're looking forward to getting to that, and we're getting there. This is just reality. This is what it is with this disease. And we are just so thankful that it's not worse right now. And I'm happy we're getting everything treated properly. I'm thankful for a good doctor who doesn't give up and just accept that, well, he's in a flare, let's just give him a steroid. And it's like, no, she doesn't do that. She fights for him. And I think that is incredibly important, because some of you might be settling for what your doctor is, how they're treating your disease. And maybe you'll hear us and realize, like, I think I could demand more, and I should. And always advocate for yourself. And maybe also look into having resources for a second opinion if you feel like you need one. Yeah. So thank you guys for listening and for watching. You can watch us on YouTube at IB Determined.
If you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell if you want to be notified whenever we post our videos.
Right. And we're posting other fun videos of us cooking.
Little shorts.
Yeah. Those have been so those are popping up, and
if
you guys will be notified.
For dinner or lunch.
Yeah. It's from the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. They have a new recipe website where you can kind of put in where you're at, what you have, and what kind of diet maybe you're trying to, and this is diets and pertaining to IBD, just so we're clear. This is not like a dieting website. It's to help, like, if you have Crohn's, if you have ulcerative colitis, if you're in a flare. Yeah, if you're in a flare, is it flare friendly? Is this good? And there's even recommendations if you have strictures, what you should be doing to prepare it. And they modifiers. Yeah, they have like things that comply with Mediterranean, low FODMAP, and the CDED, which, the Crohn's disease exclusionary diet. So they have different things that you can, that can overlap, and shows you different things you can make. So we're having fun. We're making those, and we're showing you guys what we think about it, what our rating is. So we keep it to 1 minute. You can watch us make it. And so, those are pretty cool. But otherwise, if you just want to listen to us, you can find us on Sprout. They have a link to show you we're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Apple Music, we're pretty much everywhere now. That's interesting. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I know. Well, we're there. Yeah. I don't know if we have a listeners, but we're there. We are available, and we are ready. If you want to listen, you will find us. Yeah. And if you want to follow us on social media, probably the best site is on Instagram at Team IB Determined, and follow Mason's journey on there as well, and a little bit of our family stuff too. So that's pretty much it. That's it. We'll see you in the next video. And it might not be next week. It might be next week. So stay tuned. Yeah. Ooh, suspenseful. So yeah, really suspense. We're leaving you cliffhanging. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. Thanks, guys, and for tuning in. And we will see you on the next video and next episode if you're listening. Yeah. Bye. We hope you will stick around, tune in, and reach out to us with your own journeys. We are excited to give you an inside view of what it takes to be a caregiver and what it's like to be a patient. And most of all, we hope you'll maybe be able to apply something you hear on here that might help you in your own life. Sometimes life changes, and it's all about how you handle the journey.